How's it going, everybody? This is Dale from Upstate Bets and DFS, back here with some more NFL preseason content. Just 3 games here on Friday. Had a game yesterday that was fun to watch, and then we got a huge slate tomorrow on Saturday, and then some games on Sunday and Monday as well. So far, we're 6-1 on the preseason. I'm actually super stoked to say that, man. 6-1 is really exciting to be so far in the preseason, and we've had a lot of good luck with the quarterbacks. So we're gonna stay with that same trend here, picking the quarterbacks. So, I don't want to drown you out with a bunch of quarterback content. However, it's kind of the easiest to find a lot of news and articles on the quarterbacks. That's like the most important position. Some of the wide receivers get iffy. There's a ton of like wide receivers on the roster, trying to figure out who they want to put on the depth chart and the 53-man roster. And when it comes to running backs, it's kind of the same thing. Even if a player gets 15 carries in a preseason game, it doesn't always mean that they're going to smash their line. However, when it comes to a quarterback, if they're going to get a ton of playing time, usually they have a good shot of hitting their over line. So that's what I've been doing. I'm a big over guy over here on PrizePicks. So before we dive in, when you do sign up for PrizePicks, go give it a shot. If you sign up using promo code UPSTATE, they'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you put $100 in, you get $100 back to play with. Helps me out a ton, helps you guys out a ton. And yeah, man, it's going to be super cool when the NFL season starts to be on PrizePicks. They do a ton of promotions. They do Taco Tuesdays. Obviously, they do single game slates as well. But the way they're so involved with the community is by dropping lines. So sometimes, let's take, for example, Matt Corral. If they were doing a promotion today, they'd put his line at like 50 passing yards. So, last year for Thanksgiving, they did like half a passing yard for Josh Allen. Just a ton of things that they do over here. A ton of stuff for the Super Bowl that they did, playoff games. So PrizePicks is the place to be if you're into player props. We also have a Patreon listed down below in the description. Right now it's $10 a month. You get all MLB and NFL preseason content, and then it goes to $20 a month at the start of the NFL season and NBA season. So sign up over there. Really good time if you're looking to get some extra picks from me and Riyadh. So he does all the MLB stuff. Go check out some of his videos. He does a MLB podcast as well, so really cool if you go check that out. So let's dive right into the video, man. 6-1 so far. Like I said, let's try to get this to 9-1. I'm gonna go with Jordan Love, cover boy Jordan Love, over 135 passing yards. So this is a line that's really been creeping up. I would recommend staying away from this if it gets to like 145, 150. I like it over 135. So if you're watching this video early and that's where it stays at, hop on this line. I'm going to take the over on him. Shaky week 1 performance, as we all know. 13 for 24, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Not perfect on paper. Obviously, the 3 picks are super ugly, but 2 of them really weren't his fault. 1 is justifiable. However, he played, he played a ton of snaps, man. And in this game, he's pretty much going to play the entire first half. We'll see what happens in the second half, him and Danny Etling. However, he's getting a lot of praise from Rodgers. He talked about his footwork in the first preseason game, and Rodgers said the same thing. Looked ugly on paper, but if you look at the mechanics and some of the things he was doing, actually he did a good job out there. So hopefully he can bounce back from that performance. We took him in fantasy score last video, but I'm going to rock with the passing yards here. Hopefully he airs it out like he did. And they had a joint practice actually with the Saints on Wednesday, and some of the things coming out of that practice were absolutely elite from Jordan Love. There's a bunch of writers there from ESPN and CBS Sports, and they were saying that he was surgical. They were saying that was the best ball he's thrown all summer. Perfect balls down the sideline. Some of the things that they were saying about Jordan Love that I was reading were pretty insane. So he has the confidence against this New Orleans Saints roster that he's going to be facing because they just had that joint practice. So Jordan Love is looking like he's going to have a solid game, so I'm going to take him over 135 passing yards. The next guy I want to get to is right next to him, Ian Book. He's a guy that we took last video. He creeped up all the way up to like 100 and I believe it was 125 yards. Was just under that, had 123, but when we took him, he was at 115 and a half. So he did creep up a lot. These are lines that definitely shift all the time. So get him while you can early. So 15 to 22 passing for 121 yards and an interception last game. I said 123. I meant 121. However, the thing coming out of New Orleans is that they had 0 plays over 20 yards. So my prediction is that they're going to try to incorporate a little bit more big plays into the offense. Is it the fact that Ian Book is limited with his arm and his playmaking ability? Could be. However, I think that they're going to try because having 0 plays that go over 20 yards is not pretty. I know people from New Orleans and Saints Twitter are not happy about that. They want to see some excitement, something to look forward to. And in this roster spot for Ian Book, it's something that he's looking forward to. They brought in a guy named KJ Costello from the USFL. He actually played for Mississippi State. He actually broke the SEC record, 623 yards. If you remember, 2 years ago, they played LSU and upset LSU. That was a crazy game, but they brought him on the roster. So I'm not sure how many snaps he's going to get. Book played the whole entire game against the Texans, but Winston's still out with a foot injury, so Dalton's going to get the majority of the snaps to kind of lead the game. I don't think he'll get an entire quarter. I think he'll get a couple of series, and Book will slide in. Book will probably play, the rest of the first half into the third, and then they'll probably throw Costello out there. I mean, he was ready in game one against the Texans. He just never got run. So right now it's looking like it's going to be Winston, Dalton, Book. However, if this Costello kid steps in and plays well, you never really know. But I'm going to be rocking with Book here. I know they got some things invested into him. They want to see what he's got. I mean, this is really kind of his last chance. So there's a little bit more pressure on this pick, and I like the narrative behind it. So I'm going to be rocking with Ian Book over 115.5 passing yards. And then the next person I want to get to is going to be Bryce Perkins here, but I'm going to take him in fantasy score. So the weird thing with today's preseason slate is people splitting snaps. So like right here, Bryce Perkins and John Wolford, one's going to play the first half, Wolford's going to play the first, Bryce Perkins is going to play the second. And then, Matt Corral and Phillip Walker is going to be the starter. PJ Walker is going to play the first half. Corral is going to play the second half. So, a lot of these picks, you're really kind of just betting on that person, whether they're just going to play, whether they're going to get those stats in the first, 2 quarters that they're playing. However, with Bryce Perkins, I mean, he showed us a lot of things in that game that I really liked out of him, man. The rushing ability was solid. He looked really good, man. I mean, at the end of the day, 10 for 17 passing, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, 39 rushing yards on 8 attempts. I mean, it's some solid performance from Bryce Perkins. However, the kicker is he did that in a full game. He played the whole game. So the thing I like about this is they're bringing in this kid, John Wolford. He really hasn't played meaningful snaps since 2020. If you remember the story of Wolford, he came in against the Cardinals when Jared Goff got hurt. 231 yards he threw he had 1 pick. They ended up winning the game. And then eventually, against the Seattle Seahawks, there's a wild card game. Sean McVay actually benched Jared Goff for Wolford. Wolford came in, played a couple snaps, and literally got smoked. Who did he get smoked by? Jamal Adams, and sent him to the ER with a neck injury. So, that's the last we've seen of Wolford. So I know there's some Rams fans like him, and that's back when they had Goff, and everything was a little bit shaky. I mean, however, I just I see the depth chart. I think Bryce Perkins is going to beat him out. I think his dual threat ability is a lot overlooked, and people from LA and LA Twitter definitely liked what they saw out of Perkins, and now they're going against Houston, where Ian Book was able to kind of throw all over this Houston team. And at that point, when Perkins comes in the second half, it's going to be third stringers for Houston. So there's no doubt in my mind, especially with that extra narrative that Perkins, is kind of getting, a little bit, there's a little bit of smoke for Perkins here. He wants to be able to play well to get that QB2 spot behind Matt Stafford. So I think he's going to be playing with a little extra edge. That's why I like the narrative in this. It's a little bit of a battle. So I'm going to be rocking with Perkins here, over 7.5 fantasy score. Between the rushing ability, I don't think it's crazy to think that, he throws for 100 yards, maybe throws in a touchdown, runs for 40 yards. So definitely an option here to take Perkins. Other than that, with all the people splitting snaps and the running backs here, and between the wide receivers and the running backs and all that, it's not stuff I really want to get into for the preseason. I'm just trying to take the safest route, trying to win some cash, and trying to win you guys some cash, more importantly. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we can hit 9-1. Like the video if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel for some more preseason content and maybe NBA content when it comes out, NFL content week 1, and as well as MLB content. So thank you guys so much. Catch you in the next one. Peace out.